Good evening, everyone. I call the City Council meeting for Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 to order. A lot of things to think about here and in the world, so we'll take a moment of silence to ponder what you're concerned about. Thank you. If you'd all join Alderwoman Lee in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderwoman Lee. Brian Krupp, our Deputy City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Dunn.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
McGinnis.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Grip.
Here.
Condon.
Here.
Cornett.
Here.
Dickman.
Here.
Jobson.
Here.
And Ortez.
Here.
10 present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Krupp. Again, good evening, everyone. As we begin the meeting of the City Council, again, I'd like to welcome everybody in attendance and anybody watching throughout any particular electronic device. We respectfully welcome your opinions and comments. Please keep in mind that as you share your thoughts, you're sharing them with all your fellow Davenporters and everybody throughout the region. We are happy you're participating in your government and ask that your participation please reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport a better place for everyone. Especially for the folks in here, if you have a cell phone, I just ask you to put it on silent or turn off. Simply, it doesn't get in the way of someone speaking during the meeting. If you want to address the council on any specific item, please come to the podium. The microphone's above you. Love to know your name, ward, or address, and if you're not from here, we'd love to know where you're from. When addressing the council, I'd ask you to address us as one body and not as any particular individual. We'll be respectful of you. We'd ask you, please be respectful of us. Thank you. City Administrator, will an alderman move approval of the City Council meeting minutes for June 8th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Now, City Administrator Spiegel, any updates for us tonight?
Just two quick reminders. It is a 5 Wednesday month, so we will not be here next Wednesday. And the 4th of July holiday will be before we see you again on July 5th when we're back for briefing. So just a reminder, government offices will be closed in observation of that. And I'm sure one of you is going to talk about red, white, and boom, so I will not steal the thunder on that.
Roger that. Thank you. Okay. Will an alderman please move approval of the report of the Committee of the Whole for June 15th?
Move the report.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We have 4 appointments and 2 proclamations. I'll read all the appointments and ask for a motion. 2 to the Housing Commission, Joyce Miller is a reappointment and Gary Schuss is a reappointment. Zoning Board of Adjustment, Angela Loback is a reappointment. Historic Preservation, Diane Franken is a reappointment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. There are 2 proclamations, LGBTQ plus Pride Month, June 2022, and then Red, White, and Boom Military and Arsenal Appreciation Day, July 3rd. The first one, Alderwoman McGinnis, please read.
Thank you, Your Honor. City of Davenport Proclamation. Whereas equity, inclusion, respect, and safety for all persons is a core value of the City of Davenport, and whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning LGBTQ plus communities contribute to the cultural, civic, and economic success of our city, and whereas we know that communities succeed and achieve their best potential when forward-thinking individuals set their sights on the journey for a brighter tomorrow, and whereas the fight for dignity and equality for LGBTQ plus individuals is reflected in the tireless dedication of advocates and allies who strive to forge a more inclusive society and commit to bending the arc of our community toward justice. And whereas LGBTQ plus advocates have spurred sweeping progress by changing hearts and minds and by demanding equal treatment under our laws, from our courts, and in our politics. And whereas we celebrate our community's diversity and welcome all residents who live here, regardless of their national origin or ancestry, race, color, religion, creed, sex, marital status, age, mental or physical disability, political affiliation, gender identity, familiar status, sexual orientation, or financial or socioeconomic status. And whereas the city has championed a non-discriminative environment for LGBTQ plus individuals through ordinances in 2000, 2008, and 2020. And whereas in 2020, the city of Davenport was the first city in the state of Iowa to ban conversion therapy, which is a harmful attempt to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity through unethical and ineffective tactics. And now, therefore, we, Mike Mattson, Mayor, and the Davenport City Council do hereby proclaim June 2022 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month and reaffirm our community's shared values of compassion, inclusion, respect, and dignity, and our commitment to building an environment and a community in which everyone is valued and has an opportunity to thrive, and encourage the citizens of Davenport and the greater Quad Cities to likewise affirm these values of inclusion to celebrate our LGBTQ plus neighbors. Dated this 22nd day of June 2022, I move the proclamation. Second. All in favor? Aye. And accepting today will be Adam Peters, the Director of Operations Clock Incorporated. And Adam, if you would meet me at the podium. Stand for a picture. If you'd like to say something.
Yep. First, I have to apologize. I just came from our community center in Rock Island. I would normally dress up for this, but I did not bring my clothes because I'm a forgetful person. On behalf of Clock Inc., we'd just like to thank the mayor and council for issuing this really wonderful proclamation. It's just really, really affirming listening to it read back. And Clock Inc. is proud of our work in the Quad Cities and honored to be part of such a welcoming and affirming community. Recently, there has been a rise of hate and demonization against our LGBTQ plus members in Iowa, our state house, and across the country. It's a reminder that we still have a long way to go for acceptance, inclusion, and equality. Thanks again to the city of Davenport for reminding us what a welcoming community looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, next proclamation I'll read. Whereas the cities of Rock Island and Davenport have been cooperative neighbors since the founding of each community in 1835 and 1836 respectively, and whereas there exists a long history of collaboration dating back to the 1850s when the two communities were connected by the first railroad bridge across the Mississippi River, and whereas Red, White, and Boom is celebrating its 18th anniversary of cooperation between these two communities, and whereas River Vision is a cooperative plan for the redevelopment of the riverfront between the two cities, and whereas the execution of said plan has brought continuous improvements and enhanced the quality of life along both riverfronts, and whereas we honor the birth of our nation, those who gave all of our great country, those who gave for all our great country, and those who serve today to protect our shores, and whereas we honored the birth of our nation, Arsenal Island and the military commands located there have been a significant part of the history of both communities. And whereas our communities commemorate the Rock Island Arsenal and the Arsenal's importance to our region and nation. Now, therefore, we, Mike Mattson, Mayor, and the Davenport City Council do hereby proclaim July 3rd, 2022 as Red, White, and Boom Military and Arsenal Appreciation Day and congratulate the cities of Davenport and Rock Island for their improvements to the riverfront, but also to the Rock Island Arsenal on all of its past achievements and innovations and future successes. I'll accept a motion for this proclamation.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? And I think Mr. Dyson, seeing you? Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the proclamation. We are looking forward to having a great event again on the riverfront with lots of activities and, of course, the fireworks. So hope the community comes out and enjoys the day. Thank you.
All right, very good, and to the point. Okay, next is petitions, if I can say these words tonight, and communications from council members and the mayor. Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Couple things tonight. Council may be off next week, but Party in the Park, party's on. And we will be on June 30th, Thursday, June 30th, at Van Buren Park over in our wonderful West End. The fun starts from 5:30 goes from 5:30 to 7:30. We will have snow cones by Alderman Rick Dunn. He will be handing out snow cones, and all kinds of other fun things will be happening at the park. So I certainly hope that you can join us for Party in the Park, and that's, again, Thursday, June 30th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Van Buren Park. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderwoman McGinnis. Alderman Jobson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, want to encourage people to, again, adhere to the upcoming new times for legal discharge of fireworks over the 3rd and 4th holidays. As we've heard about, we got a great event down on the riverfront with Red, White, and Boom with a lot of excellent programming. I would encourage everybody to head downtown on the 3rd, and if you really want to see some fireworks again on the 4th, I'll give you one reason to go over to Bettendorf on that day. Watch them shoot off over there. Otherwise, again, I'd ask people to be courteous neighbors. I'm appreciative of staff. I've seen the digital advertising through our social media platforms. So, hopefully that continues to be an effective route to educate people about what they should and should not do. I also encourage that we, again, reach out to all of our registered neighborhoods to be good neighbors and understand people's needs, wants, and desires. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Jobson. Alderman Ortiz.
Thank you, Your Honor. Everybody, I'd like to encourage everybody again to please, it's construction season, it's the second day of summer. Please slow down. Workers deserve to work and not be at risk of getting ran over. And our little ones, everybody's children's are out there playing, having a good time. Sometimes they lose track of where they're at, whether it's a ball rolling out in the street or chasing an animal. There's no sense in going at a speed where we can't slow down, and we don't need no injuries. So please slow down, and let's just all be safe out there. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Ortiz. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say real quick. Training and bring some of that information back to the city. I'm looking forward to that. And I want to thank Corey Spiegel for all the help and welcome back. And in the words of Snoop Dogg, I want to thank me because it'll be my birthday and I went from COVID 50 in the hospital. So I'm going to redo my 50th this year thanks to the COVID. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Kelly. We wish you a wonderful 50. So, anyone else? Very good. Okay, we'll move to items on the discussion agenda. There are two, and I'll read the first one. Resolution awarding a contract for architectural and engineering services for the Main Street Landing / Destination Play Area project to Sasaki Associates, Inc. of Denver, Colorado, in the amount not to exceed $761,815. ARPA number 12. Is there any public with comment? Seeing none, will an alderman please move the resolution?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Jobson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to commend Alderman Condon. He's been very effective in his use of stories to get points across these last couple of weeks. And since imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, I'm going to try my hand at a little allegory. It's a story about a family farm, an established multi-generational family farm that's currently overseen by 10 cousins. You know, this farm is very unique in that the only way it really generates revenue is through the rent of land for people to either live or run businesses. And then there's even a little bit of revenue generated from the sharing of profits of those and revenues of those visits, establishments. On this farm, you know, they have an abundance of livestock all over the land. You know, this livestock's also unique. You know, it's mainly just for, you know, people's entertainment. Come watch, come pet, you know, just kind of check it out. They do have a few of those animals which, you know, are used for revenue sources. You know, you can ride them, you can just enjoy being around those animals. You know, the cousins have learned that lately they've received some money from their grandpa JB, and they are trying to figure out how to use that money. The money has been given a very specific intent, been given some pretty specific directions as to how to use it. And there's been some discussions regarding, you know, how they're going to proceed and how they're going to go forward. To come up with a plan. You know, there's a lot of really good things being done. One of the ideas is to purchase a new animal for the farm. You know, this animal that looks good, it's a prize-winning cow that's hopefully going to attract more people to the farm, you know, allow some of those businesses to maybe prosper from extra people, you know, coming to that part of the farm. You know, there's even a hope that Aunt Kim might even kick in a few extra dollars to purchase an even better looking animal. You know, something that might be a little bit more helpful to the farm, but we don't know that yet. And so as you know, this family continues to discuss how to use the money, you know, there are some questions about, you know, exact processes and ultimate purposes, but, you know, the process still goes on, and, you know, we'll ultimately determine, you know, what happens with that money from Grandpa JB. And so I say that and try and be a little bit comical because I still have questions about you know, this ARPA project. I was going to make a motion to table this item this evening, but I will not. I had some conversations, and we'll allow to see it forward. Instead, I'm just going to vote no this evening. You know, I still have some questions, and like I mentioned last week, I think in awarding a contract to Sasaki, it's not them. I think they're the perfect partner for it. You know, I think that's the jumping off point. You know, this is a significant amount of money. I know the time's ticking on what we have to do with this money, and so I see that. But me personally, you know, I still have too many questions with the railroad. You know, I still think there are access issues that might come up from a public safety standpoint that Alderwoman Lee has brought forward, and so with that, you know, I just leave that little tidbit for my fellow council members. You know, if we continue to go forward, great, but that's just where I stand. I do have one question, though, for our city administrator, and I apologize to just throw this on you. Should we receive the plan and Sasaki comes back with a plan that's within our budget, and we use this money to also become seed money from the state? So we got $5.3 million approximately to build this destination play area. Say, you know, part of that is seed money, and the state kicks in some, so now we have extra. Could we potentially reprogram some of this money for something else within, you know, the guidelines of ARPA? So Alderman Dunn has said, hey, you know, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. The budget is what the budget is. Don't come at us with something above that. And so if Sasaki does so, and then we learn that there's some extra money kicking it, you know, that we can access and utilize. So now we only have to use, say, $4 million of ARPA money. Would we be able to reprogram any extra that we end up not using on this?
So I'll give you a two-part kind of answer. At the end of the day, the programming of ARPA money is a council policy decision. So that is your decision. When it comes to how Destination Iowa works, we will have to pledge our funding to achieve that funding. So I wouldn't look at it as replacement. I would look at it as augmenting. And so, you know, to Alderman Dunn's point and your point, if 6 million is the number from the city money, there are other things that we may choose to augment that would meet the state's expectation of what an amazing destination is. Because remember, it is their expectation of what they are willing to invest in that we are trying to achieve.
Thank you very much. And so with that, I just say that, we have approximately $5.3 million left with what was budgeted with our ARPA funds. So it better come back at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderwoman Lee.
Thank you. I just want to briefly say, I originally said, yes, I want to see this negotiation move forward, and now I believe we've got a good contract based on the negotiation. I'm also really curious on what this team would recommend, and they're going to come up with several themes as part of this, and then put it out to the public. 5.25 is not a lot of money, but I believe we need to stick with that because that's what we originally said, unless some other money comes in. But I am really curious, actually, to see what Sasaki and H.R. Green come up with in a very difficult site that's got all sorts of challenges, and stay within that amount of money. So I am going to vote yes on this particular design contract, recognizing that that leaves us, like you said, about $5.25 million for us to work with. And I'm very curious to see what they come up with. And especially because H.R. Green understands all the flooding and hydrological constraints that come with this site. So I'm going to vote yes on this, and then we'll move forward from there.
Thank you, Alderwoman Lee. Alderman Cornett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some problems with the known unknowns, because I think that when we get into this, we're going to have some unknown unknowns. The things that we know are unknowns is the amount of train traffic, how we're going to get access to the facility, and this, I think, safety in general. So I think I'm going to vote for this investment and see what they come back with, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Cornett. Alderman Ortiz.
Thank you, Your Honor. From the start of this, there's been a lot of back and forth. Are we going to do it? Are we not going to do it? I've had conversations with my colleagues. I think it's important to the public, and I think it's important to our colleagues to understand that this was already voted on before. I want us to support it. I'm going to support it. I'm going to encourage all my other fellow colleagues to support it. So let's go forward knowing that this is going to happen. Let's put our heads together and know that, yes, it is going forward. Yes, we got $5.25 whatever million remaining. So let's all work together to make this the best project that it possibly could be without the worry of, well, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Like I said, I think if we all put our heads together and we do trust Sasaki, trust the aldermen that have been here for a long time, the aldermen, Condon, Grip, McGinnis, that have put their heart and soul pretty much into this and are supporting it. I just hope that we can just go forward knowing that this is going to happen, and with the city staff that we have and the aldermen that I work with since I became alderman, I think we could put a project together that is in budget, that can be something that we all could be proud of. So I hope everybody supports it. Let's just know that we're going to do the project, but how can we make it better? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Ortiz. Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I appreciate the comments from my colleagues, and to Alderman Ortiz's point, this is a project that we have had in our council goals since 2016 when we funded it for the first time. and have been working towards it. And there have been a lot of road bumps and conversations along the way, but I'm excited that we're here with the actual meat of what we're trying to do at Main Street Landing, which is create an attraction that everyone in the city of Davenport will be proud of and use, and people from outside of the city will come to experience how great of a river city Davenport, Iowa is. You know, we have, the bigger roadblocks have been, you know, what do we do about flooding? We hit the pause button on this for 2 years, and we did a comprehensive flood plan, and we knew that the flood plan had to come first, and then we could take care of this potentially. And the flood plan came back and not only said, yes, of course, you can do this. Park space is a great thing to put in a floodplain as opposed to buildings. And we end up with H.R. Green on the Sasaki team to implement it. The railroad crossing has been a point of contention. The conversations with them continue to be positive and move forward. And then we get the ARPA dollars and we find out that this qualifies under ARPA, and other cities are using their ARPA dollars for riverfront parks and parks in general. And you start to go, the picture is becoming more clear, and it looks like we actually have a path forward on this. And now we've got the cherry on top, which is Destination Iowa, $100 million to promote tourism in the state of Iowa. And the governor and Debbie Durham have both looked at what we've got going on here. They've both had positive comments so far, and things are starting to look very positive, like this thing may come together, and without capital improvement dollars, with money from the federal government, with money from the state government. And we move forward. And this is not taking away from any streets or infrastructure projects. So for me, I'm very happy with where we're at. I'm very happy we're moving forward with this. This is something we've been working on for a long time. It's going to be a gem on our riverfront, and I look forward to actually planning something spectacular and having the conversations about this awesome park that we have on our riverfront that everybody's proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Alderwoman McGinnis.
I'd just like to thank my colleagues. I mean, everyone is very thoughtful about where they are. I know that it has, for some, this began long before you were on council. For me, it began in about 2002 as a resident of this city. And so I understand the concerns, and I appreciate the faith that you have in what the city can do, and what our staff can do. It is a long time coming, and and these are things that these are important things. This is an important thing that looks to our future. It looks to a very important asset in our city. But I really appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate the willingness to take a chance with this, really. This is not fixing a road. It's not the routine thing. It's not something that comes every year that we vote on. This is very, very special. And so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the perspectives, and I'm glad that you've done a great job of getting up to speed and understanding what's been happening here. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman McGinnis. Alderman Condon.
Thank you, Your Honor. With mention of Red, White, and Boom, so our riverfront and the downtown Davenport area are going to play host to a great celebration coming up, as we do each year and as we do for each occasion. So as this, with some presumption that this moves forward, there's going to be a large public outreach aspect to this. And as you're celebrating the 4th of July, near the foot of the Sky Bridge, just upriver from there, is a large yard of crabgrass and puddles. But it's one of the prettiest vantage points you'll find in the Quad Cities. And if you would please imagine what your expectations might be, and all the great potential that we have to improve that area and make it a great asset for our community moving forward. I'll echo thanks to my colleagues for the good discussion, and I do look forward to working together as we move forward.
Thank you, Alderman Condon. Anyone else? I'll just say I also thank everyone for the good professional discussion on this. Everyone here has the best interests at heart, I truly believe, and I'm looking forward to the destination. Remember, this is bringing in an expert to give you a design to look forward to and to see where they're thinking about. That's what we're talking about tonight. And because they've added HR Green to help them with this, it's just a plus on what they're doing. So I'd encourage you to give this a chance. With that, Mr. Krupp, please call the roll.
Jobson?
No.
Grip?
Yes.
Ortez?
Yes.
Cornett? Dunn?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes?
Kelly?
No.
Condon?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
And Dickman?
Yes.
8 yeses and 2 nos, Your Honor.
Very good. The resolution is adopted. The next item is a motion approving a noise variance request for an outdoor event on the listed date and time. Southeast Little League End of Season Picnic, Prairie Heights Park, 5600 Eastern Avenue, Friday, June 24th, 2022, approximately 8:45 p.m. for 10 to 15 minutes, fireworks over 50 dBA. Is there any public with comment? Okay. Will an alderman please move the motion, sorry. So moved. Second. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion from alderman? Alderwoman Lee.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Last week, I identified that the Southeast Little League fireworks would entirely benefit people from outside the 8th Ward and adversely affect 8th Ward constituents nearby to the Prairie Heights Park, which is also located outside of the Southeast Little League boundary. Could you please put up the map for Southeast? So I just wanted to clarify a little bit about what I was talking about. There you go. So you can see where the park is, and the boundary of Southeast Little League is right at the border of 8th Ward on Jersey Ridge. So the park itself is outside the 8th Ward. The Little League address itself is Bettendorf, and 10 of the 17 board members reside in Bettendorf. We couldn't find the address for the 18th board member. And one does reside in the 8th Ward. We received some emails in support of the party, and I contacted the senders of all the emails that we aldermen received in support of the party and the fireworks for those that did not include their address in their email. And their responses show that none of them reside in the 8th Ward. The boundary of the Southeast Little League area is completely outside the 8th Ward. 2 8th Ward neighborhoods adjacent to Prairie Heights Park submitted objections to the deputy city clerk within the time period provided in the neighborhood notification. Therefore, as I said last week, I choose to represent my 8th Ward constituents, and I will be voting no on this noise variance for Southeast Little League. I just wanted to clarify a little bit more on why I'm doing that. Thank you. Wait, I wasn't done. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But I would like to make a couple of comments on the special events policy itself related to fireworks. Last week, I commented on the permitting process for the consumer fireworks. I'm not talking about display fireworks. I'm talking about consumer within the special events policy, and I provided some recommendations for some inclusions into the process, and I quoted some consumer fireworks related city code. So I'd like to extend my comments a little bit this week. As I said last week, if Davenport is going to provide for the discharge of fireworks outside of the date and times prohibited by city code, I support the use of a policy that is consistently applied, has a consistent and detailed application process, requires the review of appropriate city staff and public notification with opportunity for comment of neighbors within an explosive and noise arc created by explosives high in the air, and the noise variance coming to a vote by City Council prior to the event. And I appreciate all the work that city staff has done on this. So last week, I added some 5 identified as reasonable requirements to be incorporated into the special events policy regarding the discharge of consumer fireworks per the City Code 9.40.030B and 9.40.030D. Not commercial display, that's another section. So just to summarize, that the fire marshal identify the potential affected area based on the site conditions, that the applicant provide written evidence of their due diligence in notifying the potentially affected neighborhoods and providing the public comment, the opportunity for comment, and some specific requirements for those that notification. That the applicable ward alderman be notified of the application within 3 days of receipt by the city, that the notification of this policy for the opportunity to obtain a permit for discharge outside of the times and dates provided for in Part B, and therefore not subject to the misdemeanor punishments in Part D, be included in all city information provided to the public, including the Facebook pages, for the city, the fire department, the police department, as well as the postcard. And I understand the postcard had to be designed early, and I'll cover that in a moment. And that, of course, the parks director be involved in any request that would be in a park. I would like to add a sixth requirement, and I think this is really critical, that each application for consumer fireworks and therefore each noise variance and permit be applicable to only one discharge event by date and time, and not recurrent events by the same applicant. This would ensure that, for example, bars could not apply for the discharge of consumer fireworks every Friday night, for example. And again, this is different for display fireworks, such as what we do at the Bandits. So I just want to be clear that if this is going to be a policy, that this policy be available and to everyone in this city, and that they know what it is. Because I want to make clear that with this policy, we could be looking at firework applications many times during the year. For example, birthday parties, block parties, celebrating visitors, events at bars, retail store openings, anything, really. Many people love fireworks and many hate them. I was told by city staff that the notification of the availability of this special events application process would be available, and there would be wide public notification of it. But I got my card, and I understand that that had to be designed early, but I'm also not seeing it on the Facebook and website home pages, so I'm not seeing that. I just want to make sure that everyone knows about this process and has the opportunity to apply. So I just don't want there to be an unnecessary potential for code violations by people and entities who are not aware that this even exists. So I request that the digital notifications be undertaken immediately and that another card be modified to provide the information and link and sent out. I will also work with appropriate city staff and council to amend the city code section 9.40.030C to make the special events policy fully consistent with city code. This section of the code states, use of any consumer firework at a date or time other than those allowed pursuant to subsection B, or, and the word or is important, the use of display fireworks without a permit is prohibited as a simple misdemeanor, and then it goes on to what the fines are. This could easily be amended by replacing the or with and, so that it's the use of any consumer fireworks at a date or time other than those allowed pursuant, and the use of display fireworks without a permit is prohibited. So it would cover both consumer and display. The simple change clarifies city code is consistent with the special events policy while ensuring that a permit is required for the use of consumer fireworks outside of the specified dates and times, and always for display fireworks. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Lee. Anyone else? Very good. Okay, Brian, please call the roll on the motion.
Grip,
Yes.
Lee,
No.
Cornett, Condon,
Yes?
Dunn,
Yes.
Jobson,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Ortez,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
and Dickman.
Yes.
9 yeses and 1 no, Your Honor.
Very good, that motion passes. Now, I'll move to, is there a motion for approval of all items on the consent? Okay, there's a motion, a second. I understand that Alderwoman Lee would like to take one item off, discuss, and then put it back on. Alderwoman Lee.
Thank you very much. This is the one about the SRO MOU, but it's actually more about the funding mechanism, the 28D funding mechanism. But as the MOU is set to expire on June 30th, I thought it was important that I take some time and review the information that's been made available under the MOU so I can make an informed decision about the 28D funding agreement. I reviewed the final MOU as a refresher, the monthly data from September through April that is available on the city website. It's great data, and the summary of the annual teacher-student SRO survey taken last February. I've also talked with Chief Strategy Officer Ott, Lieutenant Smith of the Davenport Police Department, and Dan Gosa, President of the Davenport Community School Board, for their take on the outcomes of the implementation of the MOU so far. I was especially interested in the gist of some of the open-ended questions and some interpretation of the data and survey results. And also, this is the first full school year to which this MOU, final MOU, is applied. So this MOU, I realize, was implemented as the schools were reopening after the stresses and challenges that the pandemic put on our education systems and the students, teachers, and staff. All of us were involved during the last term, involved in the review and text change recommendations to the draft, including myself, and I was satisfied with the changes made to the final MOU. I see to everyone's benefit the staff and administrators involved in its implementation from the City of Davenport, including Lieutenant Smith from the Davenport Police Department, the Mayor, Strategy Officer Ott, as well as the Superintendent of the school district and the President of the School Board, and the Administrator of the Davenport NAACP are truly focused on the efforts for quality and non-disproportionate experiences for students, staff, and teachers, and the contribution the SROs operating within a standardized program of SRO actions, contributing to a safe and positive environment within the schools. I deeply appreciate Lieutenant Smith, the Superintendent of the School Board, that they're working together to constantly work out how these responsibilities between the school, the district, and the SROs, how they work best within the framework of the MOU. And I believe, and I've been told that it's working well. And I believe that so far it's working to create that consistent program for the benefit of school staff and students and their families. I'm glad that the city is constantly monitoring the data so they can respond promptly to concerns. And this last time in the meeting, there were no adjustments needed, as this was quoted by CSO Ott in the June 17th article of the Quad City Times. I also appreciate the superintendent of Davenport Community Schools is using the data to identify and address disparities to improve student outcomes. And he's using it to identify opportunities for improvements. Something I learned in the Quad City Times article is that the school district has a really, what I think is an exciting process for training mediators to work with the students to try to, rather than just address the violence, to try to cut it down. So as part of the district's restorative justice approach, and the superintendent believes it's reducing recidivism, so that's great. So I look forward to following the data as the next school year starts off on a better foot without the stresses of the pandemic, and further understanding why there's a large proportion of neutral answers by students and staff, and if the small proportion of those who do not feel the SROs are making them feel safe are an indication of disproportionality. I'm looking forward to seeing the data that comes out. I greatly appreciate the clarity and consistency that this MOU brings to the responsibilities of all parties and the use of consistent data collection and analysis that hopefully leads to better outcomes. I believe Davenport is way ahead of many communities out there through this MOU, and I just wanted to say something positive. about the MOU. A lot of things positive, because I really believe that it's true. Thank you very much, and I move to put it back on.
Thank you, Alderwoman Lee. All right. Brian, please call the roll for all items on the consent agenda.
Lee,
Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes, except for number 9, and I'll abstain on number 9.
Condon,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Ortez,
Yes.
Cornett, Dickman,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
and Jobson.
Yes.
10 yeses with Alderwoman McGinnis's abstention noted.
Very good. The consent is approved. The next item is, are there any other ordinances, resolutions, and motions? We have 2, so I'll read those. First, is there a motion for, we need to suspend the rules, so suspension of the rules to add and vote on the following item. A motion and a second. Brian, please call the roll for suspension of the rules.
Dunn,
Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
Ortez,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes?
Cornett, Kelly,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Dickman,
Yes.
Jobson,
Yes.
and Condon.
Yes.
10 yeses, Your Honor.
Very good. The rules are suspended. Now the motion. Approving the following noise variance request on listed date and time. Davenport North Little League end of season event, Ridgeview Park, 1700 West 70th Street, Friday, June 24th, beginning at sunset for 10 to 20 minutes. Fireworks over 50 dBA, pending fire department approval. Is there any public with comment? All right. Will an alderman move the resolution? Move the motion. Motion is second. Any discussion? I see Alderwoman Lee.
I'll be glad when this meeting's done. Representatives North Little League, which plays out of 4 fields in Ridgeview Park within the 8th Ward, learned of the existence of the policy when they attended Committee of the Whole last week, as far as I understand. If you could put up the map for North, please. I provided further information when contacted about how to apply and who to talk to so they could have fireworks on June 24th, or they could at least apply. They followed the process and provided notification of the fireworks on 2 Ridgeview neighborhood Facebook pages and the North Oakbrook neighborhood Facebook pages, which are all within 8th Ward. And I follow those pages. I'm members of all of them. To their credit, they also invited their 8th Ward neighbors to enjoy the fireworks with them. There have been no objection and many likes on the Facebook pages. I'm also really sorry to report that last night, someone did donuts on the infield of one of the ball fields with a vehicle and destroyed a porta potty, which is also going to cost the city because the city's responsible for the porta potties out there. So it has been reported to the police, and the neighbors are cooperating and trying to find videos to find out who did it. Normally, if you've watched me at all, you've seen that I normally don't vote for suspension of the rules if it's for convenience or somebody just wasn't paying attention and the timeline got away. But since this policy did not exist in written form that they were aware of, I supported suspension of the rules for the noise variance, and I also support this party and the noise variance for this. I've advised North Little League that next year they need to make a timely application to avoid suspension of the rules, which is policy I do not support for lack of due diligence or for convenience. I thank my colleagues for supporting suspension of the rules and for supporting the noise variance for North Little League. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Lee. Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Your Honor. My kids might play Little League at Southeast, but my heart is at North Little League. That's where I grew up playing Little League baseball, spent most of my childhood in Ridgeview, and I support this, and I hope you guys have an awesome night. President Gosa.
Anyone else? Very good. I'm an E-mice guy, but okay. Brian, please call the roll on the motion.
Condon,
Yes.
Dickman,
Yes.
Ortez,
Yes, and I'm an EMI's guy too.
Dunn,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Kelly,
Duck Creek in the house. Yes.
Grip,
Yes.
Cornett, McGinnis,
Yes.
and Jobson.
Yes.
10 yeses, Your Honor.
Thank you. This motion passes. The next item, is there any public with business? If there are, come to the podium, name, ward, or address. If you're not from here, we'd love to know you where you're at. Be respectful. 5 minutes. Thank you.
I figured I would come up here because I got name dropped a couple times. Dan Gosa, I live in the 8th Ward. I'm the president of the Davenport School Board and the president of North Little League. For the school district, thank you very much for the partnership with the SROs. The MOU has been great to work with. It kind of helps us with the data and getting things set up in the right direction, so we greatly appreciate that. And then thank you all for allowing us to have our variance, to have our fireworks for the kiddos on Friday. I will tell you this, it is a very expensive process, and it would have been cheaper for us to pay the fine, but we did the right thing and did all the paperwork back and forth. And thank you very much to Tiffany Thorndike for helping us out with a lot of that. So thank you all, and I got to get to a t-ball game to coach my little guys, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing, okay. If there is, please come to the podium. Name, order, address. If you're not here, we'd love to know where you're at. 5 minutes. Thank you.
Third Ward, yes, 528 Division Street. My name's Sean. I've been kind of getting harassed by, been trying to communicate with people and get because I've been listed as a nuisance property. And I've been trying to get stuff taken care of, but they towed my vehicle today for no reason at all. Because they said I was working in the street. I wasn't working in the street. I had the vehicle in my property all night, and I took it out to the street today. And so they come and had it towed away by a city employee, well, not a cop, but I was told that that the city employees were not allowed to have the vehicles towed from the property off the street because they said I was working on it out in the street, which I was not. I have in the past, but I've been trying to correct that. So what we're trying to get at is how can, I got witnesses and everything saying that the vehicle wasn't being worked on. It was just returned to me last night from another property down wherever it's at. But how can they sit there and say that it was towed because it was being worked on in the street? I don't get it. And I've done nothing but been cooperative and doing what everybody's asked me to do for my property, so I ain't listed as a nuisance property no more. And it's really, I feel like I'm being singled out and harassed. I don't know, I'm not looking.
Sir, I'll just let you know that this part of the meeting is just for your opportunity, anybody's opportunity to provide us information. We don't dialogue with you. We just take it and then we'll consider it.
Okay. Well, what I want done is I want my vehicle back without having to pay for it because it was towed improperly. That's my opinion, but I got other witnesses here with me to verify it, but I guess that's all I can do, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Same rules, name, order, address. If you're not here,
Christopher Simpson, 7414 North Oak Street, Davenport, 8th Ward. I'm a friend of Sean's, and it seems to be that every day this gentleman from the city, environmental, I don't know, the guy drives around a little red car, a little yellow light on top. I think he's out of bounds on his authority. I stopped him one day. I had some issues with some vehicles in 8th Ward. I asked him, has he been out to Ridgeview much? And he said, he don't go that far. And I said, it's the city of Davenport, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, we mostly stick to this part of town. And I said, well, it's the whole city. If it's the city, it's the city. If it's, there's nothing. But he's particularly picking on my friend. Sean's property is landlocked with an alleyway that has been, I guess, sold to the homeowners. But there's 2 houses behind him. So the only place he has to park his vehicle is on the street, on 6th Division. He has nowhere else to park his vehicles. He parks a vehicle on here, they tag it, because it's been there for 24 hours. Even if it's only been there overnight, the guy will come and put a big orange sticker on it, which takes 2 hours to scrape off. So, it's getting to the point where this gentleman's name's Bryce, I'll throw his name out there, he's not a police officer. I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's really causing a problem down there. And for a lot of people, not only other than him, but it's just, I thought I'd bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, Ms. Spiegel, any other option? No? Motion to adjourn? Second? And all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Have a good holiday weekend, long weekend, etc.